face battles most never fought, pain, struggle, adversity. But here, we use that as fuel. This is the Battle Harder podcast, where we motivate, educate, and inspire warriors of life, veterans, survivors, leaders. We share stories and strategies to turn pain into progress. Here's your host, Coach Rob. Let's lock in and battle harder.
What is up, everybody? It's your host, Coach Rob, here at the Battle Harder podcast, where I hope to motivate, educate, and inspire you to become the best version of yourself. Today's guest is someone that I had to chase down quite a bit to get him on the show, but he's here today. I would say he's pretty humble man. If you watch his videos, he's all about technique and getting you out of a fight in a bad position. I love watching his training videos. He is the owner of Las Vegas Combat Academy. I'd like to welcome to the show another coach, Coach Britt.
Hey, what's up, man? I know. I'm sorry it took me so long to get on. We've been running around, but if you notice, I haven't done anybody else's podcast since I agreed to do yours. So you were first, so that's what we're doing.
I appreciate that, and you know what? When you're a big deal, you know I got to keep grinding and get to you any way I can. So I really do appreciate it. Before we get started, just give everybody a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, my name is Donavin Britt. I am the owner of Las Vegas Combat Academy. I am a third-degree black belt in Krav Maga under John Whitman. I'm a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, certified fight coach. I've coached professional fighters from amateur all the way through the UFC. And I've been doing martial arts for over 38 years now. I'm old enough to say that. And I've been coaching for 20 years and teaching for 20 years. So that's our story. Las Vegas Combat Academy is what we were formerly Las Vegas Krav Maga, but when we expanded our brand a little bit, we became Las Vegas Combat Academy. And if you guys are watching this, you've probably seen this online. I totally Forrest Gumped my way into becoming somewhat internet famous in the genre. I didn't want to do a YouTube page or any social media for the longest, and then I had a mentor tell me that I better do it or he's gonna come and try and kill me. I did it, and I think the message has resonated with people. It's also, I think, pissed some people off, and that's okay too. But either way it goes, I'm glad to be here.
They say if you don't have haters, you're not doing something right. So
True. They're fans that haven't admitted it yet. Haters, that's all they are. They're fans that just can't admit it yet. Yeah.
I love your content, and I think it's very educational, and I've absorbed it for a long time. So give us a little background. Why Krav Maga? Why did you choose that style to decide to coach?
That's a great question. Honestly, it was fast, explosive, and violent, and brutal, and effective. That was it. I was at a point in my life where I needed that kind of thing. I was still active in the reserves and Army, and I was also working still in asset protection and loss prevention in the Bay Area. And so the nature of both those positions were sometimes I'd be places and things would have to happen, and I don't have a weapon, and I have to be able to defend myself. Either to take someone in custody or stop someone from hurting someone else, potentially. So I looked around, and I trained in martial arts before. I trained in traditional martial arts, karate, Kyokushin karate, Filipino martial arts, which probably was my first love, is Filipino martial arts. Trained in La Tosa Eskrima for many years, and once I saw Krav Maga, I thought, man, this is great. This is linear. This is direct. It's explosive, and it fits my personality and my athletic skill set.
Was there something there between the military and loss prevention? Like, did you have any pent-up frustration or anything? Like you said, explosive, fast, and, as men, especially as veterans, a lot of us go into some form of more martial arts. For me, I like jiu-jitsu. Yeah. Did something happen, or were you just like, man, I know I need to do something, and this was like the gateway drug, so to speak, into the fighting world?
Yeah, it's weird. My military career is a little bit different. I went to college first, and then I went into the military after that. And so I played football in college. And so like clockwork, man, every fall, about every August, I started, feeling that, kind of like that need to run into someone full speed. And so I was looking for an outlet for that. And Krav Maga kind of fit both bills, where it was so, it was so physical and so direct that it kind of gave me that, that sensation that running into people full speed used to when I played football, but also the practicality of the self-defense techniques and the mentality that Krav Maga practitioner should have also helped a lot.
So we talked a little bit about backstage, and one thing I do appreciate, man, you seem like a very humble man, and that's hard to come by sometimes these days. Give us just a little bit background. You don't have to go completely in depth, but your time in service in the Army.
Yeah, I joined in 1998, and joined the United States Army, and did most of my time in the reserves at 7th PSYOPs Group, HHC, at Moffett Federal Airfield in California, Mountain View, California. And I started as an admin. That was the only slot they had available for that unit. I wanted to be a PSYOP specialist, but they're like, "Hey, take the admin job, and then you can lateral transfer." I'm like, "Oh, that's cool. Oh, now 2 MOS is awesome." So I was a clerk, and one day I was standing in command, and a sergeant walked up to me and said, "Hey, we're growing them kind of big now, aren't we?" He's looking me up and down. So I looked at him, and and I said, "Yeah." He says, "What do you do?" I said, "I'm a clerk." And he's like, "What are you gonna do if the enemy shows up?" I said, "I'll send him a nasty email." Send him a nasty. And so that was. He walked me into my first sergeant's office by my BDU top. It said, "Do you need him?" And he said, "No, I don't need him." He's like, "Why?" He's like, "Well, he's either really smart or really stupid. We'll find out." So I got cross-trained in intel, and I had some great leaders. I had some great NCOs and some great officers that I was able to be exposed to within that, UC Pog and SOFCOM communities. Guys who were, and ladies who were in country, people, a couple former Delta Forces guys, a lot of Rangers, people who were transitioning from that into PSYOP, civil affairs, and things of that nature, right? So I was able to really absorb that, and it was quickly promoted, in the unit, and it was a great time. I got more out of it than they got out of me. I missed the camaraderie with the fellow soldiers. I was in service when 9/11 happened. I never went over to the sandbox. Our primary function was North Korea and Central and South America, believe it or not. So that was our general focus, although there was some cross-training with some of those other areas of operation as well. So, but under no circumstances have I ever tried to pass myself off as some tier 1 operator guy that was doing all the, the running and gunning. That is not me. That is not what I did. I'm very proud of my service in the military, but I'm even more proud to be affiliated with men who did those things. And I would never try and pass myself off as those. And I don't think it's necessary anyway to be a good martial arts instructor. Anyway, what I did in the Army is completely irrelevant for what I do on a day-to-day basis, because the training methodology and the steps that I had to go through to become a Krav Maga instructor are completely different than becoming a soldier.
Yeah, I consider myself a sub-tier operator.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I was more chairborne than airborne.
That's the Chair Force, brother, wrong branch. So essentially, after your 10 years, like, what led you to get out of the Army?
I made too much money as a civilian.
That's in the loss prevention field?
No, by that time I started working for this little company called PayPal, and we built their fraud infrastructure. We were their fraud team, and the primary client was eBay, and we worked for Wells Fargo. So we literally built their fraud protection program from scratch. It was a team, about an 8-man team that did it, and so I got into that. And then I moved to Las Vegas and decided to become an entrepreneur and get into real estate and several other businesses, some that did well, some that completely flopped. 2008 came, kicked everybody in the ass, lost every dime that I had while my wife was pregnant with our twins. So that was motivation in and of itself. People always ask me, "Were you depressed during that time?" Like, honestly, I didn't have time to be depressed. I'll be honest with you. And I'm not. Again, I know that depression is very real. It's obviously very real. It's clinically diagnosed and all that. And it's not because I'm a badass that I wasn't depressed. I'm literally telling you, my mind was working on feeding my wife and kids. I didn't really have time to stop and think about what I didn't have. I focused on what I could do, and I made that happen. And that sometimes wasn't enough to sustain, economically, but we always got through it. And with my last $300 or $400 in my account, I started the company that became Las Vegas Combat Academy after I went bankrupt.
That's amazing. And one thing I like about the entrepreneur spirit, even with myself, I had a strength and conditioning gym for 4 years, and then unfortunately COVID just wiped me out. And
Yeah.
I could have, I could have gave up and said, okay, I'm done. I'm going to go get a normal job, but
Yeah.
that's not how Coach Rob operates. So, I just decided that I didn't need a brick and mortar business, and I could, get any client I needed online and do everything around the world. And now I'm having conversations with great men like you. So, the entrepreneur spirit, the ones that are successful, I've noticed are the ones that have the cars repoed, the ones that are, about on their last dime, because that struggle, right? That last, like, oh crap, I got to take care of my family. That really puts something inside of you to dig deeper and, do what you have to do to be successful.
Yeah. Entrepreneurs are forced to bet on ourselves oftentimes. And, you're walking that tightrope without a net. And so your steps have to be careful, but you can't be so careful where you're not moving, right? So like there's a balance there. And I think, growing up, when I grew up, my background is a little varied. I lived as far north as Alaska and as far east as Connecticut, and I've lived in the South. I lived in Green Bay, Wisconsin. I lived all over the place. But home is California in the Bay Area. So I had not only from a socioeconomic standpoint, but also from a cultural standpoint, not just African American culture, but I mean like the culture of California, specifically the culture of the Bay Area or the culture of Wisconsin or wherever. So having to learn how to deal with all those people really became my training ground. And as a kid, we didn't have a lot. We went through evictions and stuff when I was a kid. Cars getting repossessed when I was a kid. Sometimes opening the refrigerator and there wasn't enough there, or flicking the light switch, the lights aren't on. Didn't have a phone. Didn't have cable when we were nights. Like there was a lot of stuff going on there. No one knew outside of our home because we had love and we had togetherness and we had foundation of understanding that economics are temporary and you can change your situation. But you can't. But if your character goes away, or if your courage goes, that's a wrap. No entrepreneur can be successful without courage, and I don't think any man can be successful in his life without courage. And that isn't like the absence of fear. That's honestly the presence of it, and you doing what you got to do anyway. And so those are the
Definitely.
things that I think we learned in the army and and I learned growing up in some environments. I had an interesting background because in many cases, I was the only African American in some places, and then I was one of many. Right. So like culturally having to deal with that, and then like living in Alaska, you're an Alaskan first. Right. So like there's a whole gamut of things that come with that. But you know what? It honestly prepared me to be able to do what I do today, being able to speak directly to and with people from different backgrounds, faith, ideas. I pride myself in having a very, very background of friends, political structures, religious base, like the whole bit. I think the worst thing we do as people is sit in a room with people who just want to say the same thing that we want to hear.
Yeah, definitely.
It's comfortable, right? Because it's comfortable. It's like, no one's going to challenge my thought because they all say, yeah, coach, you're blah, blah. But no, like you should have people that challenge your thought process. Just like in martial arts, we should test every theory. We should battle test it. We should stress test it. We should test it smaller versus larger. Like we should test everything.
Yeah, and I think with Krav Maga, that'd be safe to say that it's a very uncomfortable martial art, right?
Yes, yes. So there's a lot of things that make Krav Maga, I think, good, and there are some holes in Krav Maga that I've seen, noted, and made changes to, and not only in my gym but within our organization. So there is no such thing as a perfect self-defense system. I know
Right.
Krav Maga practitioners won't like to hear that, but hey, get over yourself. That's what I tell them. Get over yourself. Same thing I tell people who train in jiu-jitsu. Get over yourself. I know you love jiu-jitsu. I train in jiu-jitsu. It's not the end all be all. It's not. There isn't one system that's the end all be all. There isn't one. Train in all things. Take, like Bruce Lee said, take what's useful and discard what's not. And that's kind of my philosophy and things. If I see something that works in Muay Thai that I can teach my Krav Maga students, I'll use it. And we always give credit to where we found it. There's nothing new under the sun anyway. Punch is punch, kick is kick. So there may be some new name given to it, maybe a new training methodology, but the principles are the same. And what I love about Krav Maga is that it's a principle-based system. I teach my students this every day. You can mess up a technique and survive, but if you mess up a principle, you're dead. Principles matter more than any given technique. like a principle of keep my hands up and my chin tucked. That's a principle. Now we could talk about, am I being more of a square stance? Am I doing a shoulder roll? Am I doing a Philly shell? Like we could talk about the different methodologies of doing it, but the principles of keep my chin tucked and hands up have to maintain. If not, and I'm finding people with hands down, it's going to be hand down, man down, no matter what technique I use. So
Definitely.
principles are far more important to me than any technique, and that's a philosophy that I have in business as well.
And I think that's important because we know that when the shit hits the fan, technique kind of goes out the window, right?
Yes, yes, and that's a great point because a lot of people who aren't involved, they don't believe that. They don't think that they think, you know, oh, my technique will get me through. It's like I know a lot of martial artists who have perfect technique, but they're butter soft. Like they are soft as baby shit, and I wouldn't want them anywhere near me in a dark alley because I know they're going to cut and run. They're not made. They're not cut out for that. They're not about that life, you know. And a lot of people think they train a certain way, but they'll fight a different way. That's not true. You're going to fight exactly the way that you train it, except it's going to be diminished under stress because you haven't inoculated yourself to stress. No different than being on the range, right? We can all go to a range, an indoor range at 78 degrees with a Diet Coke and talk about our grouping. You know how nice and tight my grouping is. All right. Well, you know what? Let's do 10 burpees, 10 jumping jacks, 10 push-ups, 10 jumping squats. Now pick your weapon up and fire it. Tell me about your grouping then. Right? Let's play some audio cues, some maybe sounds of explosions and lights and different things and changing. You have to make a decision between target A and target B. Now that's training because now you're stress testing it. And so I think in any martial art, stress testing has to be part of it. Now some martial arts will use sparring as their stress test. That's okay. That's okay too. You know, I admonish Krav Maga schools all the time. You're like, oh, you know, we don't spar. Our techniques are too deadly. I'm like, bullshit. Bullshit. What are you talking about? Like, that's stupid. Like, you need to deal with a real punch, kick, you know, in real grappling situations, and for no other reason to know that you can survive the shitstorm that's coming. If for no other reason to know that you won't fold up when you get hit. And so schools that don't spar, I don't trust them. Now, here's the reality. Most people who train in martial arts are not about that life. They're not going to spar. Even in MMA gyms, they're fanboys. They're not going to spar. They're not showing up on fight day. I'm in these gyms, man. Listen, we have a blessed relationship with one of the better gyms, well, two of the better gyms in the world. CSA in the Bay Area and Syndicate Gym here in Las Vegas. My fighters are like one of my fighters, he spars, you know, with Marab, you know, a couple times a month, right? And we're in and out of these gyms, and they're great athletes in and out of these gyms. And but when you go to fight class, there's a finite number of people who show up, and it's the same people who show up. Relative to how many people they have enrolled in the school, there's that same group that shows up to fight. No different than in my school. Not all of my students spar. They all don't. They're all encouraged to do so, but not all of them do. And some of them aren't ready emotionally yet. Some of them never will be, and I'm okay with that. You know, the reality of it is that we just want to make people a lot better than they were when they came in the door. And some people are coming because they have trauma, you know, and they're looking for a place that is going to be somewhat cathartic for them. And this place is that. And then I've got some people, my fighters, they're nuts. They want to get into a cage and fight with another human being. Right? Okay. So we have paths for everyone. People who are trying to repair and recover, and people who are trying to maybe stretch beyond. And a lot of men come to me because they, especially older men, when I say older, I mean in their 30s or later, come to me because they're trying to find that edge that they either lost or that they never developed. And so we try to do that. And then we have about 35% of my school are women, and many of them have been victimized.
Wow.
And it's hard, man. It's hard when I see, you know, we're doing a drill where a two-hand choke or a certain grab, or they're on the ground, and you start to see that thousand-yard stare from them.
Yeah.
And you see them emotionally starting to respond, and it's because of what they've been through. And
Right.
as men, most of us have never experienced that. Some have, but most of us haven't. And so we always treat that with respect and dignity, but also a certain amount of mental toughness. We give them love, and I literally hold their hand through it because I want them to be okay. I don't want anyone to not learn how to stand up and defeat the trauma that, or the, I should say, the results of the trauma that we've experienced. It doesn't always have to be a negative. We can win, and they can win. And I want to teach students how to win.
I love that. That's an awesome philosophy. Guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to get into more with Coach Britt. Talk
Sure.
a little bit about Cali, because you know your boy Coach Rob was born and raised in Killer, California. So we'll be right back. Stay tuned. They told you to stay comfortable. You chose the battle. Battle Fitted is for the few who live by discipline in the gym, in the mirror, and in the mind. This isn't just fitness, it's transformation. From our coaching and mindset resources to apparel that speaks without saying a word, to keynotes that shake rooms awake, we train warriors, not followers. No fluff, no shortcuts, just real work, real change. If you're tired of talking about it, prove it. Lock in your first workout, grab your gear, book the mission at battlefittedbrand.com. And we're back. And I really like what you said about the training aspect, because I was always told, especially in the military and as a police officer, we train how we fight, right? And so it's making more realistic situations to be able to overcome that when the stress hits the fan and you know your heart is racing at 1,000,000 miles an hour and you're in that fight or flight mode. So training how we fight is extremely important. So I got to ask, man, are you an E40 fan?
Yeah, you know what? I just ran into E40 about a month ago in Hawaii. I'm a big E40 fan. We're both from Vallejo. So, matter of fact, he's here this weekend. We actually hit it off. I just texted him the other day. We were talking via text the other day. He's a good dude, man. That is one of the best dudes you could ever meet. A brilliant businessman. He's brilliant. Really one of the best guys you ever want to meet. And it was amazing. We were in a hotel in Hawaii on family vacation, and E40 got on the elevator with us, and I'm looking at him, and my wife recognized. She's like, "That's E40," and I said, "40, what's up, man?" And we just hit it off. And as it turns out, he was in Vegas a few days before, and he was trying to get some things happening with his vineyard. He has a vineyard, Earl Stevens Vineyard, I believe that's what it's called. And I know some people in town. I was like, "Here, let me get you right," and we hit it off. We've hit it off. I'm a big E40 fan. I told him to his face, by the way. I gave him his flowers. I thanked him. He said something that changed my life, literally. In one of his rhymes, he said, "Don't start buying all these cars before you buy a house." He said that. And I never forgot that. And my first house I bought was in Sacramento, California. And I bought that house as a rental. I was living in South San Francisco, living in an apartment with my wife. And we owned a house in Sacramento that we rented out. And that was my first investment, was my best investment property. But I bought that in large part due to that verse right there from E40.
That's awesome. I love how hip hop sometimes, or music in general, can shape someone just off a lyric or something if you feel it or hear it. So being a father, husband, how important is it for you to, be a leader and show through example how you live and how you act and everything?
Yeah. So, man, I'm not perfect. And that's one of the things that I think I would give fathers some coaching on. Don't try to be perfect. Try to be consistent. Like, values, principles must have consistency in order for them to take hold in your kids. So it can't be okay to miss curfew here, but not okay there. It can't be okay to go half-ass on homework here, but not there. Like, it has to be consistent. It has to be like my father. My family background is goofy by itself, but I always wanted to be a better father than I had. My mom. I love my mom. My mom, up until her most recent husband, who I love, my stepfather, I love him dearly. She had awful taste in men prior, and so I didn't really have any, other than my grandfather. I really didn't have any positive, male role models around me. So I learned in the streets, and I learned from people who I thought seemed to make sense. And so the number one thing that I learned as a kid is what kind of father I didn't want to be. Right. So for my kids, I have two daughters and one son. My youngest are 17, boy girl twins. I couldn't be more proud of the people that they are. I can't even take all the credit. My wife's done a great job with them as well. But one thing about that, they've never gone to bed and not know where I am. I've never been out of town and they don't know when I'm coming back. They've never been able to. They've never picked up the phone and called me and I don't answer. I'm there for them. I don't miss important dates. I've flown across the country to catch one of my son's games. Flown overnight. It's very important to me that they know that dad loves them and that I'm here, and I'm hard on them, sometimes too hard, admittedly. I've made those mistakes where I think I've expected too much from them too early, in the sense that you got to let a 14-year-old be a 14-year-old. A 14-year-old is not going to think like an 18-year-old.
Right.
And when I was 17, I had graduated from high school and I was playing college football against grown men. And I had my own apartment and the whole bit. My son's 17 now, and he's going to be a junior next year. And I couldn't imagine him being out there on his own like that. And before I had kids, I was like, yeah, when they're 18, they can go and they can get out and go do their thing. And I don't feel that way anymore. And the reason why is because I've seen the world. I've seen how the world is. And not every kid is ready to leave at 18. You know, either emotionally, economically, education-wise, or maybe they don't even have a clear-cut idea what they want to be. You know, we got to stop acting like the morning that kids turn 18 that they have it all figured out. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. Think about how much you changed, Coach, between 18 and 24. That's a 6-year period. How much did you change? I know I changed a lot between 18 and 24.
Well, that would eventually, I went into the military at 21. So, I mean, that was a huge change right there. So,
yeah. And then think about between 24 and 34, right? So, like, that's 10 years, and it seems like a long time, but it's not really that long, 10 years. But there's a lot of change that happens over that time period. And so, as a father, I am, with my son, I'm constantly trying to get him to understand choices. Like, you're going to have, if you want what other people don't have, you have to be willing to do what they're not doing. You're going, I told him, like, you want to be great at this basketball thing, then you got to be a great student. Like, it's not okay to have bad grades but have a wicked jump shot. That means your balance and your focus is wrong, because it doesn't matter how great your jump shot is. If you can't go to school, if you can't stay eligible, none of this matters. You're just another dude who has a jump shot, right? So you have to make the choices and the sacrifices to study. You have to make the choices and the sacrifice. You know what? I'm not going to that house party. I've got a project that's due. I'm not going to that social party because I've got a workout that I've got to go to, right? So same thing with my daughter. You know, and I'm watching them as young people now. You know, getting ready to enter a really cool part of their lives. It gives me a lot of joy, because I know that even if they make a mistake, they'll tell me the truth, number one. And number two, they understand accountability. They understand I got to fix it. I got to own it and not rent my life. I got to own my life. And that's kind of the things that I teach them anyway, or try to.
I love that. And I was similar to you. I mean, I did have my father in my life, but when I had my kids, so I have a 25-year-old daughter, a 24-year-old son, and then my 13-year-old, all from my first marriage.
Okay.
And when, my kids were born, I never realized my dad saying, like, I love you, or tucking me in, or reading me books, or just that love, emotional support. So I was like, man, I got to do this. And I literally would do this for my kids. I'd watch cartoons with them. I'd, play with their toys with them, and just be the best father that I could be. Same thing. I didn't want to be like my dad. And even now, it was funny, as I get older and my kids get older, I text my daughter about 5 months ago, and I was like, hey guys, I just want you to know that, I love you and I miss you. Because, when they're adults, they want to do their own thing. I was like, I'd like to see you at least once a month. And my daughter goes, Dad, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm fine. I'm fine. I love you. And, I know time is limited, and I want to be able to, enjoy what I can. And surprisingly enough, my daughter just got engaged to her boyfriend. He's an amazing guy. So I'm looking forward to welcoming him to the family. So, I
I
mean,
think it's always good
watching
when your kids meet someone that you,
approve of.
as a father, we look at them and go, I'm okay with this, my daughter being safe with him.
Yeah,
You know,
definitely.
like, you know, I always think it's weak sauce when guys are like cleaning their guns and all this other bullshit when they're, when their daughter brings this boy home or young man home to meet you, and then you got to go in your closet and show him your guns because I'll kill you. No, it's not. Listen, if you talk to him about how much you love your child, then he knows what comes with that. What comes with love is that protection. What comes with love is that, hey, listen, there's never going to be a situation where my daughter's going to be in one of those relationships where the guy cuts her off from our family and she's, recluse and we never see her. There's never going to be that. I explain, I will explain to the young man, you marry my daughter, you're marrying this family. And that doesn't mean that I'm in your business, right? Like I don't have it, but you can't, my daughter can never call me and tell me that someone put their hands on her or she feels unsafe or like that's not acceptable. Now, I also think it's good to welcome young men into the home, and maybe show them that loving side of us, right? Like I hope I want to have a close relationship with whoever my future son-in-law is. I want him to be able to call me and if he needs advice or needs something, I want that. I don't think it works without that. To be honest with you, my wife's family's gigantic. She's the last of 11 kids,
Wow.
and my family's not so big, at least my immediate family. But they're all very close knit. Now they're immigrants. They came here from Vietnam, and so there's that whole cultural thing. So you can imagine what that was like for me, right? I was like the first and only non-Chinese person to ever walk into that house.
Oh wow.
I was the first and only outsider, right? So
And you weren't a white boy either, so
no. So so yeah, the culture, you know how that goes, right? So but you know what's funny? My brothers-in-law and sisters-in-law and my cousins, nieces, and all of them on that side of the family, it's nothing but it's love and my kids are twins, boy-girl twins in the family, so they're kind of rock stars in the family because that's the thing. And they're the first and only biracial kids too, so that's the thing.
wow.
But culturally, we're all connected, and I think as fathers, if we're really leaders of our families, you want to make sure that your family is inviting to that person that your kids love, because if it's not, it's adversarial from jump, and that's not going to work. Like that's not going to work. It never does. It just doesn't. And having these horror stories about people hating their in-laws and like it's crazy. Like it's crazy to me. It's like, why do you want Christmas to be weird? You want Thanksgiving to be awful because you're still pissed at the seating arrangement at the wedding? I mean, what the hell are we talking about? So as leader of my family, I honestly don't tolerate any of that bullshit. Everybody in my family knows it. So the way
That's
we keep the
awesome.
love is that's the only way it's going to be. That's it. Because I said so. That's why. And so whatever issues there are, you better work it out. So that's how it is.
Yeah, I love that. And with my future son-in-law, he actually did the right thing. He came to I knew he was going to do it. He texted me. He's like, I need to come talk to you. I'm like, I already know what's going on.
Oh,
And
yep.
and the man inside of me at first was like, man, I need to fuck with him a little bit, but I didn't. He came in and he was like, I want to ask your permission to marry my daughter. And I was like, yeah, bro, you got it. And that's the thing. Like, we're big movie buffs. We're big nerds. He'll text me like, oh, I got this collectible. I'm like, bro, that's amazing. So he's just like, he was raised properly, which that's what I really appreciate. His parents are
Your daughter
amazing.
was raised properly, and that's why she chose someone like that.
Well,
By the
you know
way,
what's fun?
are you both movie buffs? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she chose somebody that's like her daddy. That means you did a good job. You did a great job, coach. That's what that means.
You know what's funny? My kids are interracial too. My first wife was Jamaican, so my kids grew up
Wagwan,
biracial.
Jamaica. Wagwan.
And I had to have like multiple talks with them when they came home upset because someone didn't understand why they looked the way they looked, or why
Yeah.
someone didn't want to play with them, because that was still kind of going on during that era when when they were born. So, and I've had to have talks with both my sons about, hey, when society sees you, they see you as black. And so if they're going to see you as black, make sure that you come correct. When a cop pulls you over, just do what a cop says, because at the end of the day, if I have to fight something in court, that's better than going to your funeral. Like, don't act up, be respectful, be a leader, a pillar of society, all the things that people can't judge you based on the color of the skin. Just like, Martin Luther King says, the content of your character.
Yeah. So I deal with a lot of law enforcement, and I'm very vocal about bad cops. I think good cops are heroes. I think good cops are men and women who are brave beyond measure. Um, they exist to help people in their worst time, and they're willing to put their lives on the line. And I think those men and women should always be exalted and held in the highest esteem in our society. Having said that, I think bad cops should be flushed like turds. And so it's interesting that you're one of the few non-black people that can understand having to have that conversation with your black kids, because the truth of the matter is we can say that it's not different, but the truth of the matter is it's different.
It is.
Look,
Yeah, it
if
is.
I get pulled over, they do not see father, business owner, husband, person that donates to the community. They see black male adult, and I wear every crime that every black dude has ever done. All the stereotypes that come with it. And now people will say, well, that's because there's black people who commit crimes. I'm like, okay, but so then should I look at every white dude like Jeffrey Dahmer? Should I look at every cop as a bad cop? Like how come that's not a thing? But I think some people don't understand that culturally that is a thing. Like I've had to have that same conversation with my son. Yes, sir. No, sir. Be polite. Be courteous. Don't fight. Now, listen, I've also told him, understand this. If the cop's out of line, I'm going to deal with him. Like, I'm very direct with that. Like, I just believe that as men, my primary job is to protect my kids and my family. I don't care who it is. If someone violates my family, that person is going to have to answer to me at some point. We're gonna have that conversation, and it's probably not going to go so well for them. I'm not. I don't. That's a zero tolerance thing. Having said that, my son will also be held accountable for their actions. If my son is wrong, my son has to take whatever comes with that.
Right.
Whatever comes with what he did, he's got to take that. But I expect him to be treated as a human being. I expect him to be treated within the bounds of the law, and his rights not be violated. And I think that, like, even right now, if you think about what's going on in the country right now, for me, growing up in California, growing up, around a lot of Latino families who I know came to this country to seek a better life, I see how hard they work. I see how they just want to come and kind of live that American dream. There are laws in our country, and you have people like, you got to come the right way. I get that. But if you're going to say that, then you also have to acknowledge that due process is a thing. It is a thing. Whether you like it or not, it's part of our Constitution.
Right.
Due process. I don't look. People have been evicted or not evicted, deported. People have been deported. All like they said, Obama deported more people than Trump did. Yes, deportation has always been a thing, but so is due process. And what concerns me now are masked armed men walking through neighborhoods, going door to door, and walking into businesses, no warrants, and snatching people up on the basis of how they look. I have a problem with that. It's not American. It's un-American, in my opinion. Soldiers being called in. It bothers me, man. It bothers me, and because I feel like, okay, so like I said, Obama deported more people than Trump did his first, right? Okay, so my thing is, like, he was able to do more without doing all of that.
Right.
Without doing all, like, so there's still, in America, we're still humane. That's what makes us better than most countries. We're still humane. We claim to have these values, these Christian values or values, wherever they come from, about taking care of the downtrodden and helping the sick and feeding the hungry and housing the homeless. Like, that's what makes America great. So now all of a sudden, I feel like there's more vitriol now than before. I'm all for securing the borders. But if Coach Britt was king for the day, I think there's an easy three-prong approach to securing the border. One, yes, a physical security measure. wall, fences, whatever, just like they have in every other country, right? We'd be no different. The second thing is you have to have an amnesty program for the people who are here, who want to be citizens, who want to come forward without fear of being deported. They've been productive members of society. Allow them to come forward. Allow them to get out of the shadows and become American citizens faster. Our citizenship program is so antiquated. It takes so long to vet someone. I just think that's a problem, right? That lends itself to the illegal problem, because people are like, damn, I can't wait that long. I need to eat now. I have to feed my look. Where would you go if I was in Mexico or South America, Central America, and I knew I could go north to go get a job and feed my family? I'm going. I'm not going to sit there and watch them starve. I don't think any man would do that, or any woman would do that. So the third prong is, if you're serious about stopping illegal immigration, you have to hire and RICO statute all the companies and people that are hiring them. You have to investigate them and RICO statute. Take their companies, take their bank accounts, take their homes. If you're serious about it, look, the truth of the matter is, we'll never be that serious about it, because they're essential to our economy, number one, and two. Think about the law enforcement jobs that open borders, or these borders create. The drug trade is significant.
Yeah, look, definitely.
You can't move that kind of product into our country without government complicit. You can't. It's impossible. Gary Webb wrote that book. Gary Webb from the San Jose Mercury News wrote the book about the CIA being directly involved in the cocaine trafficking in the 80s. And then he shot himself twice in the back of the head. I don't know how he did that, but that's what happened. So when I look at those things and I hear people talking about these illegals are taking our jobs, and I'm like, it never sounds right to me. And I'm like, well, what job did you have that they took?
Right.
You wanted to go to the fields, and you wanted to be a roofer in Las Vegas at 115 degrees. You wanted to do the hardwood. Yeah. You wanted to cut the grass. You wanted to have a fruit stand off of the 10 West in LA somewhere. That's what you wanted to do. That's the job that you're just a liar. You're just when people say that kind of stuff, what they're really saying is, I'm a loser and I'm pissed off that someone else who has less has gotten more. That's what they're really saying, because no illegal has ever taken a job from me or stopped me from becoming what I want to become. I applaud them. And I also think we do need to secure our borders, and we certainly need to do so in a humane way that doesn't degrade human beings. And I feel like there's a lot of degradation going on right now. And I don't understand it, because I feel like, man, our country that's not who we are. This is not who we are. We can be tough, resilient, superpower without being,
assholes.
Assholes and inhumane, right? We can do that. I think we used to be about solving problems.
Now we're just creating problems.
Now we're creating problems. And I don't get it.
I agree with that. I mean, I grew up in Riverside, California for 20 years of my life. And, if my dad needed someone to help around the house or do anything, he'd find the people that wanted to do it. Like it wasn't a question of, well, are you illegal or not?
Don't care.
Right.
How many times did your dad hire those guys? They tell you they're going to be there. Not only do they show up on time, get the work done correct. They get it done faster, and they get it done oftentimes for a little cheaper. And you keep their phone number, you call them back, and they come back and do all the work that you need. And I get it. And some Americans are like, see, those are jobs that could go to Americans. You're right. But how many times have I tried to hire an American company, and now I'm dealing with, if they show, especially in Vegas, oh my God, you almost have to double book to get one to show up.
Wow.
Because the work ethic is different. They'll bid your job, get a job, and then they get a job that pays $700 more, and they'll go do that job and leave you hanging. So there's a lot, man. There's a lot going on there, and I never thought I'd see the day where people being rounded up.
Yeah.
It's very disturbing to me, and I know there's a lot of people out there that will hear this and say, yeah, well, they shouldn't be here anyway. They're illegals. I get that. I would just caution you this. Give people grace. Try and empathize with people a little bit. Before we're so quick to castigate people as illegals or what have you, I think we should be a little bit more understanding.
I agree with that. And I think both of us probably can relate a little bit more, especially with your wife being Vietnamese. And, My current wife is from Costa Rica. She was actually adopted, and her parents were from Venezuela. So when the first time this happened during Trump's first presidency, my wife's parents were freaked out. They thought like now they're American citizens, but they thought that they were had a chance to be deported. Like
These guys talking about denaturalizing citizens. Like that's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. Like it's in what and weren't we told that this was all about gang members and violent criminals?
yeah,
Okay, so you're telling me that the MS-13 members are standing outside of Home Depot? Like that's they're roofers too, in between gangbanging? Like it's like, come on, man. Like, you know,
make it make
again,
sense, right?
it doesn't make sense. And I tell people this all the time. Look, you can be critical and supportive at the same time. I feel that way about law enforcement. I can be very critical, but also supportive at the same time, right? Look, I served on a CERT board here in Las Vegas. We have a very unique board here, and it's a citizen review board. And we actually adjudicated officer-involved shootings and use of force. We had more civilian votes
Wow.
than law enforcement votes. And I, in that 2.5 year period, sat in probably on a dozen or more cases, some that were quite famous here. And the reason why I did that, someone asked me, why you do that? And I'm like, because before I become critical of law enforcement, I want to understand the processes from the hiring to the training to the application, right to adjudication. Because the truth of the matter is, most of the time they get it right, and the ones that don't get it right, it sticks out like a boner in sweatpants. Like it just, you see it. It's like, what are you doing, idiot? Like why would you do that, right? So I think you can be supportive, but also, hey, look, critical, because I think good cops don't want to work with bad cops,
Definitely.
right? And just like good doctors don't want to work with bad doctors, good coaches don't want to work with bad coaches. We want to work with people who have the same value and structure that we have, and I think that's important, man. I don't know. I hope common sense comes back. But more importantly, I hope empathy comes back.
Mm.
And this is my biggest problem with President Trump right now is I think he goes out of his way to be a dick.
Yeah, I never
Like
understood that.
like even the thing with the FIFA thing, with the soccer thing. What are you doing up there taking their trophy? Like, come on, bro. Like don't use every single second. Like it's not always about you. It's like, and then it detracts from some of I think he has good ideas. He's just shitty at executing.
Yeah,
Like he has good ideas sometimes, but then the execution is like, if your execution includes stepping all over people's rights and insulting other world leaders and it's come on, bro. How can you get a deal done with someone like that? You can't. And the day
no,
I hate to tell Americans, but the days of us wagging our finger at the rest of the world and telling them what to do, those days are over. Hey man, the rest of the world is not going for it. They're just not going for it. Period.
yeah, I agree. I mean, I voted for I voted for Trump, both times, and
Yeah.
I always tell my wife if he would just shut his mouth and be the president, he'd probably stay out of a lot of trouble. Like
Yeah, but I don't think he'd be president if it forced him to shut his mouth because he likes to talk. No, seriously,
So
he's verbose, and look, and that works in the business world, like with some people that will work. It's God, he's kind of like the drunk uncle, man. You know, like you love him, but you're kind of embarrassed at the same time. You know, and I'm talking about from a standpoint of some of his supporters, and I know that they're ardent supporters, but we've gotten to a point now where if you criticize someone or a thing that they did, it's like if I don't like something that the government, the country of Israel, does, all of a sudden I'm castigated as an anti-Semite. I'm like, I'm not an anti-Semite. I just don't like that thing that they did. Hey,
right,
I'm not. I don't hate Trump's guts. I think he's a boob sometimes, and I think but he's not boring. I mean, he's not boring, and I'm also empathetic because probably not the easiest job in the world, being
right,
president of the United States. And listen, I also have some venom for Democrats. They, trotted Biden out there when all the rest of us could clearly see that he wasn't functioning at full capacity. If you've ever had an elderly relative, you know what that looks like, right? So I feel like they created the perfect storm for Trump to come back the way that he has. And truth of the matter is, we have to find a way to navigate these 4 years and hopefully get the country back to the point where people start doing what's right for the country instead of what's right for themselves. But all of them on both sides, brother, coach, all of them, we got to get term limits. We got to get these people, get them the hell out of there. These guys, how did they become billionaires when the job pays $160,000 a year?
Right.
Like, no one's asking. Let me tell you something. If I have 160,000 coming in, I have billions. You bet the IRS is going to audit me. They're going to want to know, where did you get this money? What are the chances that all of their investments go that well all the time without any insider trading? They just never miss. These are the questions that we should be asking the citizens.
Well, one of the things that I'm tired of is I feel like I'm always voting for the lesser of two evils. I really would like someone younger,
Amen.
more empathetic, more.
Amen.
I'm tired of voting for the lesser of two evils. I want someone that, like I said, I really agree with you on common sense. Make it make sense, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And the other side is the youth have sometimes better ideas and forward-thinking ideas. And more importantly, they don't have sacred goats. They're not holding on to things just because, well, we've done it this way for 100 years. And they're like, well, this is a better way to do it. So
Right.
It's kind of my view of martial arts, to be honest with you. I have a deep respect for and understanding for tradition. I think that each martial arts student, a martial artist should never learn a system and not know where that system came from, what that culture means, not only to the world, but also to martial arts, and show its proper respect. Now, having said that, if you find a better way to do a thing, you should use it.
Definitely.
We should always be constant, never-ending improvement, right? Tony Robbins talks about that all the time, right? Being constantly looking to get better at what we're doing and using our gifts. And I know a lot of maybe your listeners don't know this, was one of the things that I've heard, and I kind of live by this. I had a student recently ask me, like, how do you know what your gift is? And
that's a very deep question.
Yes. And I said, whatever comes easiest to you, that's difficult for other people, that's your gift.
Do that.
If you've got a singing voice, sing. If standing up in front of a crowd speaking to people doesn't bother you at all, do that. Develop your message, right? Work on your skill set. Do those things, but do that. If you're better at organization, do that. Like, whatever comes easiest to you that's difficult for others, that is your true gift. And then the thing is, I tell people, don't chase money, chase your gift, man. Chase your dream. What do you want to do? If money was no object, what would you be doing? Right?
That's exactly how I coach my male clients. That's like one of the first questions I ask them, because even for me, I've always had a service mindset, and I truly believe when I serve others, I get abundance from that. It's not about how much money Coach Rob can make. It's about making sure I can help people heal. And I'm sure you feel the same way, as how you can make people be more dangerous and survive in a bad situation.
Yeah, no, look, we all need to make a living, and I'm sensitive to that. But I've had women show up at my gym, take off their sunglasses, and they're busted up.
Wow.
And they're like, he's going to kill me when he gets out of jail. Can you help me? And they don't have money, but they train. They get on my gym floor, and I never have a discussion with them about money, ever.
Wow.
I can't do that for everybody, but those who I can, I will. And it's not because I'm patting me on the back, and I don't. It's because I detest bullies. I detest them. I detest people who think that because here's what happens. They never pick someone who even has the slightest chance of whooping their ass. Because if they thought they would lose something, they wouldn't mess with you. So they either, in relationships, men will develop patterns of how they treat women and isolate them, and like that. This the cliche kind of stuff that you've all heard.
Right.
But I just feel like money. Yeah, like money is a thing. And it is, because I certainly can't. Obviously, I can't pay for shit with my good looks. So we all got to earn. But that's not my primary motivating factor. I don't wake up in the morning. And, I don't even check my bank account. I don't, like my wife does. I don't do that. I know I've got money in there, and I know what I'm supposed to have in there, but it's not like, oh my God, I wake up every morning thinking about numbers. I think about people. I think about what lesson plan I'm going to teach. I think about the student who I know struggles with physical confrontation.
Mm.
How can I get him or her to turn that corner? So I think about those things. And then what my desired outcome is. My desired outcome is to have a school where every student is better than I am. I don't want to be the best in the room. I want all of them to be better than me. Just like my son. I want my son to be a better man than I am. I want him to be more successful. I want him to be a
Definitely.
better dad. I want what's best for them, because ultimately, I think that's the way we should leave the world. We should leave the world better than what we found it. I had to fill in and coach my son's basketball team on a couple different occasions. I'm not a basketball coach. I know the game, but anyway, I ended up primarily being called because I think I was one of the only parents that would answer the phone, and then two, I have a relationship with all the boys on the team,
Mm.
and so the director of the program came to the game, and he looks up at the scoreboard and sees that we came back from 30 points down and won the game, and he says, "What
Wow.
did you do?" I said, "What do you mean? What did I do?" He said, "How did you get them to do it?" I said, "I told them to trust each other, that they can't get out of this without trusting each other. Like, stop playing for yourself and play for the man next to you, you
Mm.
know?" And they did. And then before we left the area, they all know when they play for me, they have to pick up all the water bottles and stuff that are underneath the bench. And I don't give a shit if they put them there or not. I always tell them, clean it up. Because you know what? We want people to know that when we left here, we left it better than we found it. And so I think the world should be that way. If every man and woman said, I'm going to leave this place, this earth, a better place than it was when I found it, I think we would stop thinking about ourselves so much and think about the collective. And I think most people's fear as humans is they think if they start to think about the collective, that somehow individually we falter, or we're not going to have as much personally if we think about the group. But you know this, Coach. I get more personally because of the group, right? I get more joy from my students who tell me, Coach, I slept 8 hours last night for the first time in 9 years because my anxiety is down. Coach,
Wow.
I'm not afraid to walk, at nighttime anymore. Or, Coach, I actually look in the mirror and I like when I see you looking back at me. Those are the things that I value far more than titles and corner in the UFC. Corner UFC is fun and all that stuff's cool, but it doesn't compare to when you see someone else who couldn't look you in the eye stand up and look you in the eye, and they smile when they talk to you now, and they're not beaten.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, bro, much respect for you. We're kind of on the same page with our philosophies, and I definitely feel you on that. And my son, when he was younger, he's playing flag football, and from my understanding, the coach wasn't showing up to games, and so the one
Kind of hard
game
to
that
coach if you
actually,
don't show up the games.
and so the one game I show up to, everybody's like has their head up in the air, and they're like, "I'm not going to coach." I'm like, "Okay, I don't know nothing about flag football, but I'm going to coach." That was the only game they won. The
Right.
game that I coached was the only game they won. And it wasn't because I was trying to like put my son in front of everybody. No, I saw who had the best strengths, who had the better passing, who had the better
Yeah.
running, and
Yeah.
just ran a couple plays and like just to see the smiles on the kid's face to actually win a game, like that just was simply amazing. Or like you said with the martial arts, when I had my strength and conditioning gym, I nothing more than I love than someone that would come in and say, I'm not going to do a squat, I'm not going to do a deadlift, and I'm going to be like, yeah, you are. And I start them from a base point of, okay, sit on this bench, now stand up, now sit on this
Yes.
bench, now stand up,
Yes.
do that 20 times. And then next is the dumbbell, next is a barbell, next they're like crying, and I'm like, why are you crying? Because I've never thought I could lift this weight or do that. So
That's really fulfilling though, right? As a coach, isn't the best.
oh,
That's like the
definitely.
best feeling in the world. Watching someone realize that they can. Um, it's hard to describe the sensation. I try to describe it to people. It's difficult because I've been an athlete my whole life, and these things come relatively easy for me, right? Like, not that I don't work hard. You still work hard. What I'm saying, like, you take a person who's never done a forward roll,
Right.
and, and they look like, they look like a, fish out of water. They, but then when they finally hit that forward roll and then they repeat it and they stand up and their eyes are bugging out of their head and people are like, it's just a forward roll. Now, it's not just a forward roll. It's their forward roll. It's
Right.
their journey. It's a significant landmark on their journey to becoming a better version of themselves. Ultimately, I think that's what you do. And I think that's what all good coaches do, is try and help our people, our clients, our students become better versions of themselves.
Definitely.
So,
And
so that's the thing.
yeah. And, I like what you said about picking up the water bottle. So, interesting enough, I'm a full-time student right now at my old ass age of 47. And I'm
Always be a student.
and I'm in the bathroom, right? And there's paper towels on the floor. And I'm staring at them. And I just picked them up and put them in the trash. I'm like, it took me 2 seconds. Like, I don't understand not putting the shopping cart back. That's like one of my major pet peeves. I don't understand picking up a piece of trash.
That's a character flaw. Not putting it back to shopping cart is a character flaw.
How so?
I just feel like you're leaving your shit for someone else to do. Like, you used it, you went and put your groceries in, you walked it out to the parking lot. There's those little carrying things, those little corrals, right, for them everywhere in the parking lot. And you won't take the few extra seconds that it takes so that someone else it doesn't hit someone else's car. It's not blanking a parking spot.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it says to me a lot about a person's character who won't do that. I think there's two ways to really define out about people's character. Number one, that one is a big one, the shopping cart thing. And two, I watch how people play pickup basketball. The guy who won't share the ball, the guy who's on the court with his headphones on, not listening to his teammate, that guy's there for himself. But the guys who are going around introducing themselves, high-fiving people, like, that's a teammate that you want, because that guy's not just there for himself. He understands that playing the game isn't just about my accolade, right? Same thing as a coach. When my fighters get naked, it's not about me. I think, Coach Britt, listen, screw Coach Britt. I'm focused on what my fighter can do and being there to help guide them through the darkness. Not stand on the podium with them and take the light and look at me. I don't care about that. I've had enough accolades. I'm good with that. I want them to be successful and them to have their moment in the sun. We have forgotten as a society how to cheer for each other, how to cheer for people. Like, if you can't cheer for a stranger, you're a loser.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? Like, stand up and cheer for someone who you don't know. Like it goes such a long way. I saw this lady once in the gym, and she's a heavy lady, but every time I see her in the gym, man, she's working her ass off.
I bet you told her that
she's grinding.
She's doing good, right?
Yeah, I literally walked by her, and she was exhausted. And I squatted down in front of her. She was doing push-ups. I squatted down in front of her. I said, I see you in here all the time, and I want to let you know it's not getting easier. You're just getting better at this shit. So keep going.
I bet that made her day.
And she looked up at me, and like 2 weeks later, she came and she told me, she said, I got in my car and I cried when you told me that. And she's like, I thought you were getting ready to say something negative to me, because people, I guess people have said negative things to her. By the way, if I ever see someone do that to someone in the gym, you listen, nothing will dry my ire quicker than that. Someone making a comment to someone why would you shit on someone who's clearly trying to make themselves better? Like, you know what kind of an asshole you have to be to do that? You about to pay the asshole tax. If I hear you do it, I'm gonna make you pay the asshole tax. I'm gonna make that person. You're gonna apologize, or you're gonna feel real small in front of that person. That's like, to me, that's the ultimate sin. Like, you're taking someone's hope from them, man. What are you doing? Like, how hard is it just to be nice? It's easy to be nice. You know what's even easier? If you take your top lip and put it in your bottom lip, you shut the fuck up. Like, you could do that. You can do that too. Okay, you can't be nice, but could you be quiet? You can do that. So I think people, if we just focus on being better neighbors and better with each other, I think a lot of this shit that's going on would stop.
I agree.
But if my neighbor comes to me and says he's hungry or needs water, I'm not like, hey, are you a Republican or a Democrat? Are you gay or are you straight? I don't care. I don't give a shit about any of that. What do I care? Like,
it's the human race, right?
Yeah, like, all right, you're thirsty. Here, come get some water. Here, take this cake. Like, I got you. Like, it's okay. I've been blessed, man. I've been blessed tremendously in my life. And if it wasn't for other people who gave me opportunities, if it wasn't for people who took a gamble on me, if it wasn't for people who invited me into their home and showed me what was possible, a family nucleus can be wholesome, and it can, and that there's value in sitting with friends around a fire, drinking hot cocoa and laughing and joking. That there's opportunity when you build relationships. And had people not done that for me, I easily could have been a statistic, very easily. And I never lose sight of that, because I have been given so many blessings and opportunities in life from people, and that I either feel like I have to pay it back or maybe pay it forward, but it's going to get paid. And I have a pretty great life. I get to wear board shorts every day, and t-shirts.
Me too.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And I have met some of the top people in my industry, people who are friends and peers of mine, people who I can call right now. Like I know I could pick up the phone and call two of the top fight coaches in the world right now, and they'll answer the phone, and just ask them about stuff. And they're so nice to me. I remember I was a Krav Maga instructor coming into the fight world. I was an outsider to a certain extent. And when my fight team first started fighting, coach, they used to laugh at us. Like they were laughing. Like we got matched up with Vanderlei Silva's fight team.
Oh, wow.
One of my fighters. And we took that fight on like 7 days notice. And they came in the back and you could just see the arrogance dripping off of them, man. They were like, yeah, we got this. It's a Krav Maga school. My guy beat the brakes off of him. Right.
Oh, wow.
And then afterwards, we're humble in victory as well. One of the guys came in the back. They're like, totally underestimated your school. Totally underestimated what you guys would do. I thought you were a Krav school. You guys are a fucking MMA gym. I'm like, I appreciate it. Right. And I still have good relationships with many of those guys to this day.
Yeah.
And it's because they've called me on a moment's notice and said, hey, my school, the roof collapsed at my school and I got fighters in fight camp and we got to finish. Can I come use your gym? I'm like, come on. Even though, I don't, and how much would you charge me? I'm like, nothing. Come on in. Nothing. Just because I've had so many people do nice things for me in my life. I think I owe it. I do.
I love that. And it's that everybody can win mentality. There's enough for everybody to go around and be successful. We don't have to gatekeep on information or training or resources. I love everything you're saying. So talking about the gym before we start to wrap this up,
Yeah.
how important is fitness to you, to your life and your mental health and everything?
So my life. So I had suffered some injuries, really bad injuries. Tore back muscles, knees, muscles. I wasn't trained, so I got really out of shape. But as I started to heal, I was able to go back and get back in the gym and start doing things without, pain, excruciating pain. So it's extremely important. It becomes more important when you lose it.
Yeah.
Right. And then you want to get it back. So it's important. Yeah, it's important. At the same time, I think people need not beat themselves up and standing on scale every day. You know what
Definitely.
I mean? Like have a workout, have a sensible diet, have the supplementation that you need, have a support group, surround yourself with other people who are on that path. It's much easier when you're doing that. A lot of times people will take this lone wolf thing. I'm gonna go at it alone, and pretty soon you find yourself alone and wallowing in your own self-pity because you failed. Because you don't have anyone there with you. So, but yeah, that fitness side is very important. I tell people all the time, I lift heavy things, right? So the weight room for me is preparation. From Magan, fighting is application. So that to me, I don't think you can have one without the other.
Yeah, definitely. With me trying to get back, I had injuries too, and I'm trying to get back in jiu-jitsu now, and I typically do strength training. So I agree with you on that. So before we end the show, I always ask my guests this: what's your definition of turning pain into progress?
My definition of turning pain into progress is embracing that it's probably going to be the most difficult thing that you've done. That it's going to hurt, but it's just pain. It's just pain. And pain subsides. It goes away. Or we get so much tougher mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually tougher that pain no longer has the same impact as it did before we fortified ourselves. So just remember, it's just pain. It's just pain. And if you keep going forward, you'll get to where you want to get to. And then the other thing is, I may not be where I want to be, but I'm not where I was. And so I think those two things kind of crystallize in that thing. Move forward and embrace the suck. It's going to hurt. Success starts with SUC. It sucks. Right. So if you do those things, man, I think life is so much better.
I love that. And guys, my final thoughts is this, if you're struggling with anything, whether it's diet, nutrition, fitness, being a father, being a leader, being a pillar of society, listen to this episode and then listen to it again and then listen to it again and then listen to it again, because there was some very valuable information shared here today by Coach Britt. I appreciate your knowledge, your resilience, who you are as a person, as a father, as a veteran, that maybe you need to talk about that a little more. I think this is one of my top episodes right now. I really appreciate you joining me, and we probably could do a whole nother episode on politics or immigration.
Listen, if you want to have me back on, I'll come back on. I always tell people, no topics are off limit. Just don't ask me shit if you don't want to hear the truth. Well, at least the truth as I see it. But I want to thank you. I know what you're doing. You're making impact and leaving footprints in people's lives, brother. So keep doing what you're doing. And if there's ever anything that I can do to help, please don't hesitate.
Well, hopefully. So guys, if you don't know this, I got married in Vegas on June 22nd last year. And I actually reached out to Coach Britt. I didn't know him. I just barely followed him, like, hey, man, can I come check out your gym and maybe do some social media? And he could have said, no, I have 475,000 followers. But he's like, come on down. Now, unfortunately, with my best friend being there and trying to see as much as Vegas as possible, I
Vegas
didn't get to. Yeah. But me and the wife always talking about being able to go to Vegas and see the things we don't see. And she's just going to have to suck it up and realize that I'm coming to Coach Britt's gym to check it out and maybe get a training session in.
I promise she'll love it here. I'll have a nice bottle of cold iced tea waiting for her when she gets here. give her the nickel tour, and plus we're going to tell her all the real good places to eat. Newsflash: they're not all on the strip. Most of them are off the strip. But yeah, no, I appreciate it. And people always ask me about that, like the follower thing. We have over 1 million followers across the board, and I'm like, I don't know what that means. Maybe it means a lot more to the young kids, but I think it's just people out there who, for whatever reason, the message resonates with them. I've had to adjust. I'll tell you this funny story, Coach. I've had to adjust to people like recognizing me. They'll look me up and down and kind of walk by real slow. And now, mind you, like I'm on my self-defense thing, like, well,
you're hypervigilant.
Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute. So then as I've kind of grown into it, people are, I think, sometimes pensive or hesitant to come and say hello. So I want to tell everyone, you can come say hello. I promise. Just don't do it when I have a mouthful of food. Wait, let me chew first. But you can come say hello, and I will always say hello. I will always engage with you. I love you guys. You guys, all the followers and the people who have supported the channel, they really made an impact on my life. It's not the economics of it all. It's not even that. It's just validation of the message that we're trying to get out, and the smiles that I see on their face. I had a complete stranger, a dude, come up to me and hug me in the parking lot at McCarran Airport. He comes up and he says, Coach Britt, and he grabs me and he hugs me. And he's like, my wife, we're on our way to your school right now. We came here to go to your school. And I just come back and I thought, wow, how I never would have thought that doing this, what I do every day, would have reached so many people and allowed me to meet some of the best people I could possibly meet. And even the assholes that are online that like to talk shit. I like that too, because it helps keep me sharp in my shit talking skills. So it's good.
Well, you're definitely a thought leader, man, and you're doing good things. So continue on that. And I'm sure we'll find some other ways to work together. Guys,
let me know.
Thanks again, Coach Britt, for being here. And as I like to tell you guys, remember to always be fit for battle. Thank you.
You've just heard another battle-tested conversation. Now it's time to take action. If this episode lit a fire in you, subscribe on Spotify, Apple, iHeart, or YouTube so you never miss a moment that could change your life. Want to go deeper? Connect with Coach Rob at BattleFittedBrand.com for coaching, gear, and tools to help you turn your pain into progress. Remember, life will test you, but you're built to battle harder. Until next time, stay locked in, stay ready, and keep showing up.